You're playing FF14? Wait, did you not know that? Did you miss orientation day? It's kind of funny to say. Okay, so let's go ahead and watch these, huh? Jocat, crap guide to Final Fantasy 14. Tanks. All right, let's see how these fare. I should probably put on a headset. My work headset. Now I can hear better.
What up, warriors of fartness? I bet you don't have the slightest clue how to play this eyeball-melting anime game. Oh, sure, you
I do a little bit now. I do a little bit. I have been playing it. I played it on Friday, and it's been really fun. It's been really fun. I've been kind of, you know, digging it, and I've been excited to play more of it.
It's by clicking on them until they die, but do you know how to find a static in your FC to help you prog uwu? I bet you don't even know what any of those words mean, so sit down, shut up, and eat your gizzle greens, because I'm gonna teach you what thee mayhap not knoweth, thy noobliness. Welcome to a crap guide to Final Fantasy.
Okay. Which one's this one? It's just general? Oh, tanks. Okay.
The tank is the person in the front lines of every group, leading the charge to inevitable party wipes, which is because you are the most important person in the party, having slap fights with the boss since everybody else is way too squishy to handle the puss-pounding patty cake. You'll never see Jimmy's soft boots eyeing up the cloud of darkness with his 2x4 and scriggly tree branch. But how hard can tanking be? Turn on your tank stance, do your 1-2-3 combo, and blame the healers when you die, right? That sounds like somebody who needs their short Q privileges revoked. Firstly,
I can do that. That's easy. But I think I chose a melee DPS class. But let me keep watching.
Tank stance. You turn this on to start gaining enmity. What's enmity? It's where you shout at the bad guys, "Hey, hit me!" They'll be paying attention to you so long as you're dealing damage, so you better be dealing damage and not just...
I should write this down. I should write this down, actually. Take notes. Enmity. Is that basically just aggro? Like, you pull... that's how you pull? Enmity. Aggro. Okay.
Having a staring contest. If you don't, then they're going to start indiscriminately charging at the rest of the party like a dog in a movie theater. If you are the designated main tank, or in light parties, the only tank, make sure this is on. If there is another tank in the party and you are the off tank, make sure this is off, unless there's some other bad guys you gotta pull. If you have conflicting stances with the other tank, they will chuck their...
I imagine off tank is like a secondary tank. Okay, I didn't know that. I'm gonna write that down. Off tank equals secondary tank.
Shoulder pads at you. As a tank, you should make sure the bad guy's ass is facing the party as often as possible, as indicated by the bright, glowing, half-eaten donut underneath the target. This is so that if the bad guy sneezes, you're the only one getting down with the sickness. And also, if your party has anyone playing any jobs that particularly likes to clap them cheeks, you've provided a bright, shiny spanking space. On top of this, as a tank, you are, by Heidelin's blessings, horrible at dancing, which is why you should move as little as possible once you've got the enemy's attention. That way, the party can continue to whap the wumpus without having to chase down the bad guy's glorious booty. Just as well, because you have control of where the baddies are, you control how useful everybody else is. So if somebody puts down a useful AoE, stop fucking running away from it. Now that you have the baddie's attention and are in a nice cozy poking position, you don't have to worry about anything else, right? Ah, that's what I thought you'd say, you dumb fucking horse. Believe it or not, when you die, it's not entirely the healer's fault, just mostly their fault. That little bit of responsibility you have is based on how well you can juggle mitigation. What's mitigation? It's the buttons that make the bad guy's slaps hurt less that you sometimes press once a subscription and never think about again.
Ah, mitigation. Okay. So basically, how you use your skills. Okay, your skills to survive more. I'm writing this down on my book. I'm not even kidding. I'm writing all this stuff down.
Okay. You ever wonder why you have several of those buttons that all seem like they do the same thing? Well, that's because you're supposed to space them out over the course of a fight so the healers don't have to sacrifice their entire mana pool and firstborn child to get your frail ass through the dungeon. Remember not to bust your tanking load all at once, or else you're gonna feel a lot of shame when you're all out of juice and the boss still wants to go about 4 more rounds. Every tank also has a press X to not die button that can be used to survive any devastating attacks, or if you're a really aggressive paladin who drew every enemy in a dungeon ever and don't want the healer to hire a hitman on you. As for what your limit break does, tanks are thicker than the average Disney mom, to the point your honky chonky donkey bahonky extends to the rest of the party, protecting them from damage up to a whopping 80% at LB3. The thing is, unless you're a high-end player, you'll probably be using tank LB as frequently as a good player rolls high on loot. Overall, you have 4 flavors to choose from: punk, grunge, metal, and Christian rock. There's warrior for big axes, big anger, big self-healing, and if you like to do fell cleaves, again and again and again and again. If you prefer more brooding than cruding, the Dark Knight is great for doing your best guts impression. You get a huge-ass sword, goopy black energy particle effects, and the literal best mitigation in the entire game, but it's balanced because they get the worst invulnerability button in the entire game. You press it, and then it makes you die. Gunbreaker is called a tank, but everybody knows it's just 3 DPS. And
which one's, when's Gunbreaker? I'm not retiring from the FGC. Actually, I played Tekken 8 this weekend. I'm not retiring. Which one is Gunbreaker? Like, what class is it? I like Gunbreaker. That's a really cool class. Oh, no class? Oh, it unlocks with Shadowbringers. Oh. And Shadowbringers is like the third expansion? Is it the third expansion? Gunbreaker I like Gunbreaker. It's cool. So I have to wait a while. Jobs added after ARR don't have a starting class. Oh, so that's an ARR thing. The fact that you can branch off to other jobs, or I'm sorry, like subclasses, like the Dragoon is only an ARR thing. You just need level 60 plus buying Shadowbringers. Oh, so I have to, okay, so I can unlock it now, technically speaking. I just need to buy Shadowbringers. I don't have to wait until Shadowbringers. I can just buy it now. Okay. And level 60, obviously. Okay.
In a trench coat as designated by the fact you get a fucking gun and your swings explode. But you have to be a hardcore gamer since it requires a lot of cartridges. And finally the paladin, who tries to pretend they're a healer and caster, but only when the other healers and casters are looking. But fuck all that, because the most important thing is that you get the motherfucking sword and shield, baby! Try getting behind this wall of holiness, bitch! Now you know how to play tank, you're welcome.
Twitch Prime
is my property.
Yo, D-Star Panda, what's up, buddy? Thanks so much for the Prime. Enjoy the emotes. We got lots of them. So I'm pretty sure he's kind of biased towards the Paladin. Okay, sounds good. Interesting. So that's the tanks. Sounds good. I have a general idea as to what as a tank, you have to basically be in front. But well, this is particular if you're in parties. If you're solo, I guess it doesn't really matter too much. But your role still matters if you're doing a dungeon. Sword and shield bias. Oh, I see. Not bad, not bad. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. So that was tanks. Let's move on to the next one, which is
power and
healers. So this is support. Okay, sounds good. So this is probably like Bard and stuff, because I like the archer a lot, and I don't know if I'm gonna be a bard because the instruments intimidate me. Oh, bard is range DPS. Okay, but it has some support. Technically everyone is DPS, but it's like more supporty type, right? One of the simplest DPS to play. Okay, cool. Okay, I will keep that in mind.
I love power and I love feeling powerful. It strokes my biggly wiggly and forces lesser beings to bow down to my awesome might lest they taste my boot between their gums. Nothing has ever given me the same rush of adrenaline than knowing that everybody has to submit to my whims for their own safety. It makes my brain do the goody good chemicals and allows me to feel as though I have control over this truly unfortunate reality that—
Wait a minute! Is this the I like girls guy? Oh shit! I love this guy. I love that song. I like big girls, really pretty girls. Yeah, I love that guy. He's so sick. All right.
That the universe is slowly careening into an eventual heat death, and there's nothing anybody can do about it as we are inconsequential specks in this cruel and uncaring universe. But none of that matters, because look at this. I can pull my party members into a pit that kills them. I find that hilarious. Welcome to A Crap Guide to Final Fantasy.
Cool. Healers, let's do it.
The greatest power of all is the power to have control over people's lives, which is why the healer is the most likely party member to have a god complex. Right behind main tanks, mentors, and anybody who's an omnicrafter. You are the most important person.
Healers are cringe. Gotcha.
In the party, as you, along with the tank, are responsible for keeping the party alive by kissing their boo-boos and slapping the bitch who made the boo-boo. That's right, as a healer, you do have to deal damage as well. Man, but it's called a healer, and healers are supposed to heal, right? Wrong! A healer's job is not necessarily to heal the party, but rather to keep them alive. And yes, there's a difference. There's going to be a lot of downtime between heals, and you bet your afflatus rumpus that you're making the fight take longer than it has to if you're just sitting there twiddling your thumbs waiting for your next chance to cast Cure. What do you do when the party's full health? What do you do when the party's full health? Or even halfway up and standing, DPS the bad guys. No, I don't pay your sub. But when the fight takes too long, it starts to rub all up on everybody's nerves. And when you hit endgame, it serves you right when the boss will wipe the party cause you couldn't beat Enrage. Sure, you're for the most part keeping the party alive with a variety of healing, utility spells, some regen, some shields, but an equal amount of time you're casting those, you're also throwing in some extra DPS when time allows. Remember, DPSing is just mitigating future damage. And if you're able to kill the current wave of dungeon mobs before they deplete the tank's HP, which by the way is going to regen to full by the time you reach the next mob pull anyway, what does it matter how low their HP?
Wait, what? Hold on. Say that again.
DPSing is just mitigating future damage. And if you're able to kill the current wave of dungeon mobs before they deplete the tank's HP, which by the way is going to regen to full by the time you reach the next mob pull anyway, what does it matter how low their HP gets? So yes, DPS when time allows. When does time allow? Well, I know you're scared of independence and thinking by yourself, but that's going to be a balancing act you'll have to figure out. However, my rule of thumb is the minimum amount of HP a party member—
So healers have to deal damage as well. I was under the assumption that all they did was heal, so this is good. This is good. Healers have to do damage as well. Okay. All right.
Member has to be at is 1. But if that's too scary-wary for your whittle fingies, ask yourself, will the enemy's next attack make your party member fall on their ass? If yes, heal so that it doesn't. If no, time to become a glare mage, motherfucker. As long as they're alive and you're clearing the content
What's a glare mage? Can somebody tell me what a glare mage is? What's up, Clemps? Learning FF14? Yes, I am. Glare is a DPS skill. Oh, it's like an FF14 skill. I thought it had to do with the picture, like you stare at them. It's like a meme. Okay, never mind. So glare is a white mage DPS skill. I gotcha.
You're doing your job right. There is one caveat to doing your job right, and that's that everybody will hate you for it. Literally, by healing, you start to generate a lot of aggro from the bad guys. So if you ever decide to heal before mob pulls in dungeons, it's important to stick close to the tank like an ERP sticks to Vieira's wearing 2B thigh highs.
Oh, so if you heal, you pull aggro. That's good to know. If you heal, you pull aggro. That's good to know. All right, let me see that one more time.
Enemy's next attack make your party member fall on their ass? If yes, heal so that it doesn't. If no, time to become a glare mage, motherfucker. As long as they're alive and you're clearing the content, you're doing your job right. There is one caveat to doing your job right, and that's that everybody will hate you for it. Literally, by healing, you start to generate a lot of aggro from the bad guys. So if you ever decide to heal before mob pulls in dungeons, it's important to stick close to the tank like an ERP sticks to Vieira's wearing 2B thigh highs. Especially if you throw on a regen and suddenly 800 mobs crash through the wall with a How to Fry Fairies cookbook. You can still do it, but you should know what you're getting into. Like live streaming and hoping that anybody will watch. As for your limit break.
Okay, so that's good to know, actually. So you either, okay. So is it like when you heal and you pull aggro, is it good to, so when the tank pulls aggro and you heal, will it automatically come to you? Or that's if you heal before tank pulls aggro, you stick to them? Because I don't know if it switches aggro easily or anything like that. If the tank hits stuff first, you should be fine. Okay, it's fine. Yeah, if the tank does their job right. Okay, gotcha. Heal after tank pulls aggro to prevent mobs jumping you. All right, cool. They will run the fade on you if you will. Okay, that makes sense. All right.
We heard you like healing, so we put more healing in your healing so you can heal while you heal. Unfortunately, you won't be using any limit break aside from LB3 because LB1 and 2 just heal the party, and you already have plenty of band-aids and popsicles to do that on your own. LB3, however, is so potent in healing it resurrects everybody in the party back from the dead instantaneously. But they will have to do the thriller afterwards, so it's best to be saved for when you at least have enough people to make a backup dancing crew. For the flavors of healer, we have 3 boomers and the new kid on the block who bought a Glock and has a TikTok. The white mage is the most straightforward. You heal when a buddy is hurt and you attack when they're not. Just about everything in your arsenal is all about feeding them so much it'll make an inflation artist blush in embarrassment. You're also equipped with the best AoE skill in the entire game and the ability to never run out of mana unless you're...
Okay, hold on. All spells cost 0 MP, heal plus damage, and AoE plus regain MP. That's pretty good. And a whole lot of heals, regens that cost 0 MP to use. That's pretty good. So is this a skill or a spell that makes everybody else's spells cause 0 MP or your own? Just me. Okay, gotcha. Just me. I see.
Unless you're really, really bad. Best of all, when your buddies get hurt, you can heal them to harness their
blood for the blood lily.
But let's say you want to play white mage, but you like tarot readings and star signs like a suburban woman in her mid to late 20s.
Holy shit, that's Faith. That's my fiance. Yeah. She does that a lot.
Logian is probably for you. You draw cards that will enhance the abilities of your party members, and you fill the arena with enough space dust and constellations that you'll need 5 layers of sunglasses to see. Taking this job will also teach you how to build a bomb. Don't worry, it's friendly. Scholar is a weirdo who used to hang out with all the bad DPS kids, but decided to turn their life around when they met a nice girl who supports them in their new hobby. Only problem is she knows nothing about your hobby, and you have to keep correcting her on fandom trivia. They're all about putting shields and defensive buffs that protect the party from taking damage in the first place. That way they can guess what? DPS even more. Also, your girlfriend can get...
So the scholar's more like defense buffs and stuff like that. Okay.
Get thick! And finally, the new kid on the block, the Sage. A scholar who decided to stop being nice and pick up a gun.
That shoots lasers!
Like Scholar, they also put shields and protective buffs on their party members so they can spend more time
shooting lasers!
How do they do this? Cool. After seeing Alphino change to the job, my guess is the Nullists are liquefied carbuncles. Rest in peace, Carby. And now you know how to play healer. You're welcome.
So it's a Gundam class. So they're like, okay, I don't know if anybody's going to get this reference. There's some BlazBlue heads, but it's like Murakumos. So you basically, it's like Mu 12, right? So you just shoot lasers and stuff. Okay, I gotcha. That's pretty cool. Okay, so 4 classes: the Sage, the Scholar, the White Mage, and the Astral. Okay, so I should write that down. What's next? DPS. Oh, this is my field. All right. This one's long too. Jeez. Okay.
Everybody likes to do damage, and don't pretend like you don't, because I know you're lying. Otherwise, why would you be playing an RPG with core mechanics such as leveling up, getting stronger, and looking fashionable as fuck? It's to do
That's me!
massive numbers on the other guys until their numbers are so small they match the PP size of anybody who doesn't commend at the end of a duty. The other members leaving too quickly is no excuse. How do you expect to move quick enough to avoid AoEs if you can't even move quick enough to tell your allies they're doing a great job and that their glamour is sexy? Is that uncharacteristically nice of me? Maybe, but it means I get to steal the LB3 from the only melee in the group. Welcome to a crap guy to final.
I don't think I've gotten to limit breaks yet. I don't think I've gotten there yet. I think I will, hopefully, but I don't think I've gotten there yet.
Fantasy. Today I'm going to be talking about every job. That's right. What, you thought only the DPS have to DPS? Boy, I could slap you with my—
I just thought about this. Does every FF14 YouTuber use their avatar and like talk like it's their VTuber? Because we saw this in Lucy Pyre's video too. Interesting. Okay.
my overflowing glamour dresser. Damage is the name of the game in Final Fantasy XIV, and the entirety of the game is designed around everybody dealing it, including the tanks and the healers. If the DPS roles are contributing 60% of the damage, tanks and healers are the ones who fill in the other 40. So if you don't contribute, you belong in the garbage chute. So don't get so hung up on the role names. Everybody is a DPS. What I mean specifically is
Okay. Everybody is DPS. I think you guys said that, but I'm going to write it down just so I can remember. Everybody's DPS.
that one, not only is FF14 a cooperative game, which means anytime you waste is not only yours, but also anybody else in your party as well. And two, every combat feature in FF14 is designed with dealing damage in mind. Healers and tanks get skills that actively promote doing more DPS. Hell, Sage is a healer whose skills actively benefit from doing DPS. And most importantly of all, Enrage. Enrage is what happens when you overstay your welcome in a dungeon or boss arena and the residents have run out of things to talk about and are just really ready for you to leave so they can finally go poop without being worried that you're going to steal all their old DreamWorks DVDs. That is to say, you're either forcefully kicked out or alternatively they instantly murder you. How do you prevent this from happening? You murder them first, of course, and then you pop in a copy of Shrek 2.
Okay, Enrage. Interesting. WHM. Please use your DOT. The boss is at 12% HP.
I'm going to be the only one who will need a hero.
It's called healer. Please stop being rude. White mage. Oh, okay. So WHM is white mage. Okay, gotcha.
Your head now that DPSing is essential, not just for the jobs with the title sticker, but also anyone in a fancy robe or
So, enraging, is this specifically in dungeons? Enrage? That seems like an important thing. So the longer you drag out a boss fight, the more powerful they become? It's for raid bosses. Oh, okay. Or I guess the more health they have. It's a DPS check. Okay, that's actually good to know. Is for raid bosses, aka a DPS check. If you take too long, the boss clicks the big FU button and kills everyone. Enrage is a hard time limit. You reach it, you die, you fail. Enrage is usually only for extreme plus difficulty. Basically, the boss is preparing a nuke. So it's basically a DPS check. If you don't kill it before it does the big FU button, then it'll kill you all. It kills everybody. It's not an issue unless you're underleveled or on harder stuff. Okay. It's usually not an issue if you're prepared. Or unless you're underleveled. I'm just gonna write that. I never hit Enrage in my OFF14 life. Okay, well, I can't say that I can't freaking guarantee no Enrage in my FF14 life, but I can try really hard to prevent it, if you know what I mean.
edgy trenchcoat as well. Now that you know that, how does one go about dealing max deeps? The first most basic thing is to do your combos. Press a button. See another button light up? Press that one. Congratulations, you have successfully completed a combo. And doing so will reap a myriad of benefits from putting damage over time on your target, gaining mana, doing your taxes, or any variety of other additional effects. But mostly, it all achieves the same goal of dealing more damage. Secondly, you want to press these skills that the game labels as abilities and the community calls off global cooldowns, or OGCDs for short. More like
you guys told me about that last time. Okay. OBGDs. No, wait. OG. What was it again?
labels as abilities and the community calls off global cooldowns, or
OGCDs. Okay. OGCDs. Off global cooldowns. I'll tell you right now, give you a little bit of insight in my brain. Usually writing it down makes me remember it a lot easier, which is crazy.
OGCDs for short. More like OGCDs nuts! I personally call them free damage buttons. They cost you nothing and there's literally no reason not to press them while your normal cooldown is rolling. But this one has a long cooldown. What if I need it later? No, it doesn't. Shut up. The cooldowns in this game are so short you might as well press them because by the time you need them again, whoop, they're back up. Not to mention many jobs.
Okay, so use OGCDs often, every time you can.
require you to press those free damage buttons to unlock even spankier damage buttons. So use
But
it.
I guess, well, okay, hold on a minute. The off global, like for example, if you're a tank, do any of the OGCDs help mitigate damage? So you have specific timings where you do want to press it in certain periods. So you don't want to press it all the time immediately. So that's only sometimes. Okay. And that's what determines like a good tank is how often you use your OGCDs and stuff like that. OGCDs nuts. Haha, very funny. I haven't heard that one before, but this is specifically for DPS. Okay. As DPS. Okay. Gotcha.
Goddamn free damage buttons. It's free damage. The next rule of DPSing is knowing your ABCs. Always be casting. This means mashing away at your keyboard like a tickle monster working double time. More specifically, it means that the best way to make sure you are doing the most damage that you can is to always have your global cooldown going. Even if it means accidentally pressing the wrong skill like the single brain cell that you are. Because if you're always pressing buttons, even the suboptimal one, you are doing more damage than if you weren't. And doing damage is always better than
Really? So that's a thing? So even though your cooldown is not there, you do more damage if you mash it? What? Really? Okay. I wasn't doing that. I was just waiting for my cooldowns and kind of timing them. It's probably the fighting game player in me that I was like, okay, now. Okay, now. And the correct button just sometimes. Interesting. Okay. It just makes making more abilities. It's like a buffer. Okay. It's kind of like a buffer. So FGC mashes yeah, that's perfect. Okay, great. Mash skills for it to possibly come out sooner. AKA more DPS.
Mashing
AKA
doesn't make your auto attacks do more damage. It just means they get triggered as soon as possible.
Yeah, exactly. AKA more DPS, technically speaking. So yeah, mash skill for it to possibly come out sooner. AKA DPS. Okay.
not doing damage. Yes, even Skaith. Here's a live example with my two subjects, Jan and Chloe. They both deal 1 million damage and suddenly the boss flies out of melee range. Jan sits there waiting patiently for the boss to return before she can start doing 1 million damage again. Meanwhile, Chloe's pressing the deal 1 damage at a range button the entire time they're waiting. I ask you, puny viewer, which person is dealing more damage right now?
Yeah, but it's only 1 damage.
Who's dealing more damage?
As if
Yeah, that makes sense. I was about to say like the person shooting and dealing damage over. Yeah.
any fight is going to get so close that dealing with...
Who is dealing more damage? Sure, it might not look like much, but it's going to matter when they fight the boss that has 3 million and 2 health and they wipe all because the other DPS decided they don't want to press buttons.
It's such little DPS, it won't make a difference.
Sure, Jan. Now, one of the best things you should do to improve your damage in Final Fantasy XIV is this. It's really simple. I want you to lean in. It's a super simple thing. Here, come close. I'm going to say the thing. Are you ready? Okay, here it goes. Read your tooltips! The little block of text that literally tells you what your skills do. Honestly.
I usually don't do this, but I've been doing it for this game. I've been doing... Actually, hold on. Maybe not.
Honestly, you would be surprised how many people queue into an expert dungeon and never realize they have a skill that can attack multiple targets. Even all the things I tell you in this video, the combos, the range attacks, the AoE damage skills, the free damage buttons. The best way to know what your job is capable of is by reading your job skill tooltips yourself. So you better read your goddamn tooltips, because if I see another player not knowing about their AoE combo and a mob pull at level 80, I'm gonna grab the nearest etherite and bash you so hard you're gonna be teleported to the final resting place of every ERPer's used undergarments. With all that out of the way, you'd think I'd covered everything you need to do to be an ultimate clearing badass, right? Unfortunately not, waffle face. Because the final responsibility every single role in Final Fantasy XIV shares is not dying. Oh sure, the healers help, but most of the time your own survival is on you and only you. And that means making sure you do the fight mechanics and don't take avoidable damage like it's got the cheese touch.
Oh, I'm sorry, are you in the middle of your cast? You want to try and hit that purple parse like the big man you are?
That's too damn bad! Each time you take damage that is avoidable, it means the healer has to heal you and they're dealing less damage. And on top of that, you get this cheese puff called a vulnerability stack. For each stack you have, you take more and more damage until you get one shot when the enemy farts in your general direction. All this to say...
Wait, is that a thing? Wait, is that specific to certain... Is that specific to certain, bosses, or...?
The healer has to heal you and they're dealing less damage. And on top of that, you get this cheese puff called a vulnerability stack. For each stack you have...
Vulnerability. Okay, lots of fights do it, so vulnerability stacks. That's actually good to know. Vulnerability stacks. The more you have, the more damage you take. Is there any way to take them off? Oh, just overtime. Okay.
You take more and more damage until you get one shot when the enemy farts in your general direction. All this to say, if you don't avoid enemy damage, you will not only make the healer do less
Most
DPS,
if not
but you're
all
also...
avoidable attacks from bosses will give you a Von stack if not dodged, and they decay after 60 seconds if not refreshed by getting a new one.
A minute? Damn.
Basically, if you don't dodge when you could have, chances you'll get vuln.
So it's like a debuff. Vulnerability stacks equals you fucked up. Okay. Vol stacks. Okay. Vol stacks. I'm going to shorten it up. Vol stacks equals you messed up. All right. Great.
Likely going to die, which means 0 DPS. And if you still think that's not a big deal and the healers can just res you, each time you die you get a dunce cap of shame that reduces your DPS even more for about as long as a red light in Philadelphia. So you better stay alive or else I'm gonna raise you so I can rescue you into an AoE and kill you myself. To recap, everybody's DPS matters. Press your free damage buttons. Always be casting. Read your tooltips. Stay alive. But even if you keep all those things in mind, the #1 rule to improve your DPS performance is to practice. Striking dummies are all over the goddamn place, out in the overworld and even in the yards of some random people's houses in the residential districts. So if you see one, there's no shame in whacking it a few times like you're auditioning to be a dominatrix. I'm sure the neighbors won't mind. Practice makes perfect, and even all the foresight in the world will not fully translate into the doing. So go and do that doing so that one day you too can do the do and make everybody else look like doo-doo because of how good your doing skills are. And with how much doing you'll be doing, maybe someday you too can clear an ultimate and get a shiny-ass weapon of your own to show off to people AFKing at the Limsa Aetheryte Plaza. Just know the difference between an amateur and a master is that a master has failed way more times. By the way, get ready for a party wipe. Wait, what? Congratulations, you're now better at the game than you were 5 seconds ago. Oh! And now you know how to DPS, you're welcome.
Huh. So after you revive, you're weaker. Is it 25% less? Okay, hold on. I need to see that part again. 25% less DPS, 50% on the second death before this is gone. Wow. Okay, so less DPS. When you die and get rezzed, you do less damage. I think that's a good one for DPS. That's pretty good. So I think those are pretty good things. Like OGCDs, definitely it's a big thing that I didn't know about. Mashing the skills, something I didn't really know about, and that's something people do. Vulnerability stacks for sure. Dying makes you do less damage. Yeah, that's actually really good stuff. Okay, great. And just always be doing something. You know, if you do... You know, doing less or doing 1 DPS or 1 damage is better than doing no damage. Anyways, great. Next one, melee DPS. Is that me? I think that's me. So that's the general DPS one. This is melee DPS. Oh my God, this one's 9 minutes. Okay, this is me. This is because I'm a Lancer. I'm a Lancer. Holy crapola. Chat, I got a gnarly cut on my finger, but I don't remember when I got it. Man, learning FF14 and taking notes is a dangerous task, huh?
You should be a team player, but honestly, I've always felt like the best way to help the team is by crushing whatever obstacle that's in the way with my heavily toned squat receipts. So that's it. No more playing for anybody else. I play for me, baby. Any reason the raid wipes from now on is no longer my fault. I only exist to make big numbers fly towards the screen and watch my...
Damn, dude, you can actually, like, get knocked off? Like ring outs? That actually might. I'm kind of scared about that now.
I play for me, baby. Any reason the raid wipes from now on is no longer my fault. I only exist to make big numbers fly towards the screen and watch my skill bar light up like a Christmas tree at a rave party. And you bet your precious patoot the progress preventers will be promptly pounded because this potent projector of pain will be peppering those beasties until your pack is paved with enough resulting pellets that every peddler will pray to be pampered by a more palatable pacifist. Welcome to a crap guide to Final Fantasy.
The hell? Is he okay?
Free tip, whenever you load into a boss, try the edge before the fight starts.
Yeah, but what if I end up falling off while trying the edge? Isn't that how you know for sure that there's an edge? Is you fall off? Isn't there a better way? Oh, it's better to die before than during. Okay, that makes sense. All right. All right, I do it before the boss. All right.
PS is like being the king of capitalism, because the way you play, taking care of others, is for bitches. Pay no attention to anybody else's well-being unless it directly affects you, and so long as you're alive and safe, you can act like anything bad that happens around you is probably not your fault. All that brain power instead will be put towards what really matters, your complicated as shit damage rotation. That's right, step aside tanks 1, 2, 3.
Oh my God. Are you serious? I played a lot of Path of Exile, and for me to see this is crazy. Because I was like, I only leveled up 1 skill and I did a shit ton of apologies. I did a lot of damage by just doing 1 skill, but this is like a lot of skills.
That's right, step aside tanks 1, 2, 3 and healers 2 damage buttons. These are where the big guys and gals play. Or at least that's what they like to tell themselves, since one of the only party utilities they have to worry about is pressing the faint button once in a blue moon. Their hotbar will more often have dozens of buttons all dedicated to big damage. The melee DPS is the most important person in the party, as you are the one on the front lines inspecting the bad guy's anus like it's where all the Hrothgar hats are hiding, while avoiding the enemy's sprays of hot, poisonous gamer stink. Not only are you going to be up in their grill turning their cheeks into a ripe tomato while flip-flopping in and out of danger like you're a politician making pancakes, you're also going to make like an adult film star and learn positionals. Certain attacks in your damage rotation will require you to land.
Okay, positionals is something important. That's why I have to read the text, the tooltips. Read the tooltips.
And them in specific areas
around
around the enemy target, specifically the rear and the flank, in order to deal additional damage. How do you tell where those positions are? By the massive disembodied titty underneath the target. See this nipple? That's the front, where the tank will be sucking on the sweet milkies that are tank busters, which obviously means this conspicuous ticulus on the opposite end is the rear. What about the flank? That'll be on either side of the enemy. And if you're ever confused as to where each area begins and ends,
Okay, so these are flanks, and that's the rear. So the flank is not the rear. Flanks are different from the rear. Okay, cool. I always thought the flank was the back. Add $1 to the swear jar. Yeah, I know. I will. Okay, that's one. I basically have to gift a sub every time I do. I put one in the swear jar. Okay.
Ends. A useful tip on how to tell is imagine there's a big X dividing each of the quadrants. Or you could just press true north and pretend positionals don't exist like it's an embarrassing memory of that time you did the Gangnam Style at school, unironically. The only time it isn't the case is when the enemy has a full ring without an opening, in which case you won't have to worry about any of that guff and you can just sit there like an off-tank who's actually having fun. Otherwise, between hopping back and forth in these two spots and running around catching up to the boss whenever the tank feels like doing cardio, your little wall's legs are gonna get so much working out that they'll be thick as the milk from the teats of a whale made of molasses. Which is to say, expect to move. A lot. But what if I'm not in the right place for a positional or the boss is far away? Just remember the old adage. Always be casting! Even if you're not able to land your positionals or if the boss is too far away to make a melee attack, be sure to always be pressing your buttons no matter what. Unless you're a monk who has no ranged attack and you have to sit there thinking about how your job will inevitably be reworked yet again in the next patch. However, there is another secret.
Wait, is that true? Monk players? Do you lose your identity every patch? That's unfortunate. Sorry about that.
Secret epic gamer option that allows you to maximize the DPS you output at the risk of yourself as well as potentially everybody else. But it's usually the healers. This technique is called greed. The funny thing about AoE markers in Final Fantasy XIV is that they only ever mark you for damage if you are standing in them the moment they go away. This means that if you're fast on your fingers, you can stand there DPSing the bad guy while soaking in their radioactive orange juice until the very last second where you backflip out just as the dropkick of doom skims your fuzzy anime hairs and you...
Yes. This is what I like to do when I play Elden Ring and I play most games. Like, I basically try and get as much damage as I can before eventually dodging. I did this in Tunic and I did this in Elden Ring a lot, where I basically tried to attack in between attacks and then dodge roll or avoid the attacks and stuff. I do that a lot.
You don't lose a second of uptime. As I said, however, this is a high risk. If your timing is off and you spend just a millisecond too long, you'll be covered in cheese puffs. You might even die. Or in some cases, you'll have to suffer a fate worse than having to read the entire 24-hour chat log of Limsa. Damage down. Shh, it's okay. Nobody's gonna take away your big damage numbers. Papa's here to make sure you...
This guy's funny.
Don't greed too hard if you're not ready, okay? Okay. As the melee DPS, you also have first dibs on limit break against most bosses since yours deals the most damage, specifically when they're single. This is because when you hit the limit break button, you're not actually attacking them, just showing them pictures of a happy, healthy relationship, and nothing hurts more than emotional damage. Just ask Urianger. But what are the individual jobs whom of which layeth said up-close slappers to thine adversaries? There are 5, and each one is a different flavor of anime and edge. Monk, for those of you who want to go fast, having one of the shortest global cooldowns in the game means you'll be dealing out punches like you're a pissed-off caterer at a middle school sock hop. Instead of the traditional combos, each attack puts you in a specific stance. Bird, cat, and monkey. Each one combos into another attack that benefits from each respective stance.
Is this a monk thing? Actual fighting game combos. Someone did tell me that pugilists or monks are like the fighting game class because they have crazy combos and stances, which is cool. But I wanted it to be a dragoon. That's cool.
Stance. Your rotation will be all about swapping stances around more than a kid trying sick moves to impress their crush at a middle school sock hop. You also have perfect balance, which allows you to go freestyle and pick whichever stance you're feeling more at the moment without having to do any of the normal stance setup. If you repeat the same stance 3 times during your freestyle, you get a purple token on your stylish moves punch card. And if you do 3 different stances during the freestyle, you get a white one. Do a freestyle with 3 unique moves one more time while you have both the purple and white tokens on your punch card, and you get to turn it in to make your crush dripping wet with damage because for some reason you get to kick them in the face. The only problem is you are the only melee with...
That's kind of similar to 9 the Phantom system, where you can have different spells, and depending on which one you do, you can have a different spell. But in this case, instead of having a different spell, you just do like more damage and stuff, which is which is really cool actually. I like that a lot. Maybe I'll invest some time in, if I do get into this game, then eventually I do want to probably try out other classes. And I think doing this would be pretty cool.
Without a ranged attack to keep your uptime. And although you do have a dash that lets you zip around like Goku on a triple shot Ristretto down blend macchiato, if ever you find yourself without a target to punch during combat, you can call timeout on your buffs so they stop moving while you have a little cry because your crush rejected you at the middle school sock hop. Dragoon is probably the most...
That's pretty cool. Wait. So if your cooldowns?
If ever you find yourself without a target to punch during combat, you can call timeout on your buffs so they stop moving while you have a little cry because your crush rejected you at the middle school sock hop. Dragoon is probably...
That's really cool, actually. So they can not increase the cooldowns, but increase the time that you have your buffs if you don't have anything there. Did I understand that right? Wow, that's cool. So is this the ninja? Or which class is this? Or is it still monk? Is it still monk? Okay, this is still monk. My mother says you look nice. Thanks. Okay, I'm gonna write that down.
The most straightforward of the melee classes and the one most likely to have a tragic backstory. You've got a 5-button combo that swaps between hard slaps and sakura flowers and a handful of buffs that will turn anybody else in the party into your partner in dragon slaying. What kind of dragon slaying? That's up for you to decide, which you'll have plenty of time to do while you're suspended 20 moms in the air dropping in like a scantily clad human airstrike who's got a date with Nidhogg at 5 and a party at the quick...
That's me. I don't know what he's saying, but that's me. he's essaying what I am, but that's me. King Llama, thanks so much for the prime. I appreciate the subscription. Enjoy the emotes.
Quicksand at 6. Yes, the Matanga in the room. Dragoon has several damage-dealing jumps necessary to unlocking special attacks in their rotation that will lock you into an animation, which means you're stuck and unable to move out of your location while the boss is just about ready to piss all over the floor right before you land. So be wary when using your jumps, lest you fling yourself right into a danger puddle and perpetuate the tired singular joke the 14 community has for the class. On the bright side, though, you do...
Really? Oh, damn. So... Dragoons can... You know what Dragoons remind me of, if that's the case? They remind me of Lucio mains in Overwatch. They can easily just kill themselves because of movement. You know what I mean?
Stealing jumps necessary to unlocking special attacks in their rotation that will lock you into an animation, which means you're stuck and unable to move out of your location while the boss is just about ready to piss all over the floor right before you land. So be wary when using your jumps, lest you fling yourself right into a danger puddle and perpetuate the tired singular joke the 14 community has for the class.
Okay, hold on. I need to see these memes. Name a more iconic trio. I'll wait. I don't know what that is. I'm going to jump. Do a flip. Floor tank. So just because Dragoons die a lot does not mean all of us are floor tanks. Because your face will be facing the floor most of the time. Oh! Oh, I get it. I see. Okay, understandable. When the 17k DPS orange parts DRG backflips off a cliff.
A mentor in the form of... Be wary when using your jumps, lest you fling yourself right into a danger puddle and perpetuate the tired singular joke the 14 community...
My goals are beyond your understanding.
...community has for the class. On the bright side, though, you do get the objectively best job mentor in the form of... Ninja is great for people who enjoy American football, because for every 10 seconds of excitement, there's a minute of fuck all. Your rotation is all about fitting every goddamn cooldown you can into a small window of time where you make the enemy take more damage. And on top of that, you also have the ability to live out every weeb's dream and do a bunch of hand gestures to cast magic attacks and also drop down into a low position and run with your arms flopping behind you in the breeze.
Okay, I'm gonna write down floor tank Dragoons is my life really soon. Is going to be. All right. All right, ninjas, here we go. The middle school 7th graders that watched way too much Naruto on Toonami.
Which Final Fantasy objectively proves makes you go faster. You got 3 hand symbols, and depending on what order you do, you will make a different kind of anime reference. For example, going Chi Tenjin Tenjin Chi Chijin unlocks the secret dark ending of Korean House and causes the enemy to be susceptible to bonus damage. But maybe you're facing a mob of enemies who are immune to A-rank powered life forms, so you'll instead have to go Tenjin Jin Chijin Chijin Ten Chijin Tenchi for 3 seasons of Sonic Underground, which will kick sand into their eyes with how fast you'll be running circles around the slowpokes. More or less, you'll have to do some studying up on what combos do what. But here's a secret cheat sheet. Only the final mudra in the sequence matters. Fuck, it's the skill floor police. Cheese it! Samurai, the job most likely to have a dick measuring contest with a black mage.
See, this is stuff I don't really... Oh, man, it's bright. This is the type of stuff that I don't really care about too much because I'm not going to play Ninja, but this is really funny. I want to see that again. That was pretty funny.
Circles around the slowpokes. More or less, you'll have to do some studying up on what combos do what. But here's a secret cheat sheet. Only the final mudra in the sequence matters. Fuck, it's the skill floor police. Cheese it! Samurai, the job most likely to have a dick measuring contest with a black mage. I'd be careful though, their dad works at Square Enix. This weeb is the most selfish of the melees as it provides no utility for the rest of the party and instead acts like the average soccer player, focusing on being the star of the show who gets all the attention, especially when it drops to the floor clutching its knee when somebody sneezes on them. Your attacks contribute to a kink bar, which allows you to shame the enemy in a variety of ways, as your katana is also a substitute for a horny bat. So you remember how the monk has a punch card? Well, so do you, except yours is your sword and the punches are stickers. You have 3 basic combos, each one giving you a slight buff and slapping a sticker onto your katana. And depending on how many stickers you have, you will get one of 3 different rewards when you turn in your sticker sheet. With 1 sticker, you'll apply a dot that'll last longer than it takes to clean your room. Don't lie to me, I know a majority of my audience has depression. 2 stickers will charge up an AoE around you. And 3 stickers will make... Each sticker attack also gives you an additional separate sticker.
What did I just watch? What did I just watch? What was that? So 3 sticker attack. So basically it's the triple sticker move. It's like, it's art.
Sticker. And once you have 3 of those, you get to do an additional...
Oh, no, again.
And finally, the Reaper, the transfer student from Garlemald who got the rest to mauled at the fact that they think...
Oh, Reaper. So apparently, I didn't know this, but my editor, or one of my editors, Synth, he's a huge FF14 head, and this is his class. This is his class. Editor San's class is Reaper.
Think they're better than the rest of the melees. Which I mean they are, but don't let any Reaper hear you say that. It'll go to their heads. Being the darkest and edgiest of melees means that your job gauge is the Dark Souls HUD. Similar to the Samurai, you build up a bar that can be spent on big slaps. And those big slaps give you edgy boy points that can be spent on additional big slaps. Except this time, they're coral blue number 5 semi-gloss lipstick. Once you've kissed enough boys to build up your fashion bar, you get to turn into a spooky ghost. You do the slice. You do the spooky slice. The spooky slice. Now your swings have some spice. You do the slice. It's just your soul that's the price. You do the slice. You do the spooky slice. And now you know how to play Melee. You're welcome. From the northern snow front.
That was the spooky slice, huh? All right, nice. All right. That was nice. That was good. That was good to go into the different classes and stuff like that, and melee DPS and the different memes, especially with my class. It seems like my class seems to be the most memey of all of the melee DPS classes. Wonderful. Fantastic. All right, let's move on to the next one.
Turn around. Every now and then I get a little bit tired of being counted on to do complex tasks that involve more than it takes to eat a bowl of mushy cereal. In fact, I don't even feel motivated to hear what my allies need of me. I'm just gonna sit all the way over here, enjoying my Lucky Charms. Alone. And if things go wrong, I'll have to rely on the ever-reliable American method. I already see absolutely no negative consequences. Welcome to A Crap Guide to Final Fantasy.
How patriotic. Range DPS.
I'm sick of having to dodge so many up-close AoEs. The boss keeps doing them and I have to keep moving away to avoid getting splatted. And then I have to resort to the equivalent of throwing marshmallows that will scratch the enemy about as hard as a massage therapist with germophobia. I'm trying to beat them into submission, not soften their tenders. What's that I hear you say? There's an option to give me the ability to do max deets even when I'm disconnected from the boss like an internet provider out in the country? Of course there is. I was just getting to it and I'll thank you not to interrupt me again. The physical range DPS, or just range for short. Physically throwing my spleen into the splattering range of the near semi for long is the more mobile and forgiving cousin of the melee, and is the most important person in the party since you are the least likely to get a commission in the end. And we thank you for providing such a valiant service, as there always needs to be someone in last place. Your role is all about keeping your uptime going, and although yes, every other role is also about trying to do that, you have absolutely no excuse for messing up. The gimmick of the range DPS is that you don't have to worry about any positionals or cast times and can run around the arena like an indecisive artist in a Hobby Lobby. You get to stay at a safe distance, and if there's ever a pissy puddle underneath your feet, moving out of the way won't risk you doing suboptimal damage. So what's the catch? catch. Nobody gets off scot-free in this game, as all
Yeah.
roles have their stonks and stinks. Tanks have
Yeah.
the responsibility of dancing
what I'm
with the
saying.
boss. Healers have to share gear models with the magic DPS that have been dyed white, and you will have to suffer the nail-pulling drawback known as the range tax. To balance for the fact that you have nearly no limitations on your mobility, your damage will be on average slightly less than both the melee and magic DPS jobs. And hell, sometimes even some tanks with their openers that'll put down bosses faster than PETA when it finds a stray. The range tax, although real, will make a tiny droplet of difference in the grand scheme of things, and if you pick a range job and feel as though you're being outdone by your peers, odds are you are probably doing badly anyway, and the reason you
These memes are pretty funny, actually. Mods. Fucking range text. Oh, sorry. Freaking range text.
probably doing badly anyway, and the reason you have trouble jumping over that hurdle is just because your toes were too big and floppy that you would have tripped over every single one so badly anyway, Discovery Channel would decide to make a show about whether or not you're real. Let me summarize. If you do bad, it's a skill issue. Nevertheless, the same rules as any role applies in the fact that you should stay out of the piss puddles wherever possible. Even more so, considering you're wearing Heelys and by all rights should be able to avoid any and every possible puddle and be the nicest smelling at the party, which is important because the healers only have so much nasal tolerance. Lucky for you, each range also has a bottle of perfume to spray that will at least mask the piss smell a bit. The final shared
Okay, what is that? What is that? What is it? All this do the same. Reduce damage taken by self and nearby party members by 10% for 15 seconds. Does not stack with each other. Okay, so they're basically like kind of range DPS, but they also offer support to others. So they don't deal crazy amounts of DPS, but they basically their job is not to only do DPS. They're like support DPS because they are the weakest of the DPS classes, technically speaking, because they're privileged and not going into the front lines. They are the guys standing behind the cannon while all the other guys go in the front lines in the trenches. Is that what I'm getting? I think that's what I'm getting. So range DPS is the weakest of the DPS, but also provides support and buffs and stuff. Buffs and stuff, but can attack at a distance. Range DPS is usually more consistent damage, while melee and magic are burst damage. Okay.
smell a bit. The final shared utility in the belt of the Black Man is the Limit Break, which although does not do as much single target damage as the melee, has the benefit of being able to hit multiple targets in a line like a really violent high-five surfer. The range roster is a trio of performers, each one...
Okay, so basically, it has a really big AoE limit break, which is really good because melee DPS usually is a more concentrated DPS. Okay, that's good to know.
skilled in a different charismatic...
Okay, hold on. I gotta do that. Let's see. Range physical is line AoE. Okay, so range DPS, like these classes, cannot do like a circle. Those are for mages, but they do a straight line. So anything, so they can run they can do like a train. Is that a rule, or that's a rule? Okay, cool. Range DPS does a line AoE, and usually mages do a circle. Oh, but casters do a circle. Okay, great.
art, and each one a different flavor of slutty. First is the bard, where your bow is your harp. Also, your harp is your harp, because with this job you get a bunch of instruments you can play, including these obnoxiously loud drums. You are one of the few jobs with the endangered species known as the damage over time skill, and your main attack involves firing a single arrow repeatedly until a bigger, cooler arrow gets jealous and sometimes asks to be fired too. But not all
That's
the time,
cool.
because it's not like it likes to be shot or anything. You also have a bunch of songs to play that will make everyone in the party hear a remix of their opening theme. And everybody knows when the opening kicks on, you deal more damage. Because you're the one playing them, you also get your own special benefits, you filthy, dirty performer, you. A song that sometimes lets you shoot more arrows when it feels like giving you some, a song that makes you shoot faster, and a song that lets you shoot more arrows when it feels like giving you some, but a little bit different. All this arpeggios to a crescendo into a grand finale where you fire a big ol' arrow. And if you've played all your songs,
That's
you
cool.
have the ability to face roll your piano and startle your party into doing even more damage. I said hit harder! Now hold on to those notes there, partner. Masaka. For the machinist's main attack, it uses a gun. The most selfish.
This guy's funny, man. I like him.
Now hold on to those notes there, partner. Masaka. For the machinist's main attack, it uses a gun. The most selfish of the range classes, where the name of the game is... And the name is labeled on a box called Your
Big
Doom
Fat-
being shipped to the
What?
enemy at
Big
terminal
Fat
velocity.
Deeps?
What you sacrifice in party buffs you make up for in Big D. Having 3 giant bullets and a bunch of smaller, higher frequency bullets. Doing your normal 1, 2, 3 will get your gun very hot and bothered until it's riled up enough to rapid fire its red hot goodness. And if you make sure to toss your special toy into the mix, it can end in an explosive finish. Keep up that momentum and
Oh my
eventually you can even
God.
invite your queen to join in the fun. Hey, I hear she's got multiple frequency settings. All this might make you feel like you're not contributing as much, but no need to be nervous. Lucky for you, this job comes with extra protection.
But you are not some simpleton who can be won over by some flashy lights and pretty songs. You want passion, romance, a partner who can live up to your standards.
The dancer foregoes buffing the entire party or focusing on doing its own damage and instead picks one party member. One extra special, extra spicy, extra sexy partner in crime to give a super buff in damage in the form of 2 extra flashy minigames of Simon Says. And then you do a little bit of
Blending and sending the bodies flying, they're dying to birdies that give them birdies.
And afterwards, it's just a matter of praying to RNGesus to bless your twinkle toes, because from there, it's all coin flips all the time. Your rotation is a 1 and a 2 that can coin flip into a 3 and a 4, and both of those can coin flip into either a single target or AoE 5, which itself is a coin flip into a possible 6.
Then once you're in rhythm, your spinnies will kill them, then dance in the wind like that million ribbons, and kicking and flipping their carrions into your allies so they can annihilate all that's left. Yay, now they're dead.
And now you know how to play ranged. You're welcome.
That was awesome, dude. All right, so 3 ranged classes. It is the Bard, the Dancer, and the Gunner? Oh, the Machinist. It's called the Machinist, which is a Gunner, which is, technically speaking, a gunner. Okay, wow. What? That was a good video. I like that one. Magic DPS. Okay, how many more do we have? Oh, it's the last one. Okay.
Do you believe in magic wearing a massive hat? It's a difficult skill and time-consuming at that, and it's magic, the explodious kind. The best roll to make your party go fully blind. I'll tell you about the magic if you insist I must, but if I stand in AoEs, then healers gotta adjust.
Healers, why didn't you adjust?
Welcome to a crap guide to Final Fantasy. The last group of the derps per Cirque's job is the magical range DPS, or just magic for short. Look at the hat, nothing up my sleeves. You are the most important person in the party because when the going gets tough, a big hat is required. And the amount of damage you do is proportionally connected to the size of your brim. Where the melee is sniffing up the boss's farts and the range are shouting yo mama jokes while making love to the arena's boundaries, you are the healthy middle, standing your ground till you go down to Pound Town when you found the sound.
Is that true? Do ranged DPSs fall off the arena often? Where are my ranged DPSs? How many times have you guys fallen off? No comment? Yeah, sure. Okay. Sounds good. Sometimes? Okay. Yeah, sure. Only if you're bad? Okay. Sounds good. Mirrors are pretty cheap these days, by the way. I'm just letting you know.
Bad guys frown. You don't do as much damage on average as the melees, instead to trade it off for the utility of being able to attack at a range from anywhere in the arena, with one major difference from your physical range cousin, the cast bar. That little lightish red loading beam that you see just about every other main story quest when you have to search a suspicious bush or scout out for the next place Thancred will find yet another new color of depression. Most of your skills require you to stand perfectly still in order to have your big numbers to go off, and if you so much as special edition Han Solo your neck to get a better angle at your hot naked tank, your skill stops and everybody sees how you are no longer looking respectfully. Luckily, every single casting job usually has a lewd calendar's worth of tools to circumvent you having to staple your feet to the floor, which does mean in order to up your mobility without losing out on DPS.
So mages have spells that require them to stand still. That sucks. To stand still. Or powerful spell. Not all of them, but some of them.
You'll need to learn the right sequence of buttons to press like you're playing a 7-dimensional accordion. That said, there's one universal trick to upping your mobility no matter the job, and that's the maneuver known as the slide casting. Though you normally have to wait for the entirety of the cast bar to complete. Little known fact, once it reaches about 4/5 of the way through, you need no longer restrain your movements as though your feet were sweating Gorilla Glue, and you can afford a small amount of movement without losing possible uptime. Cool tip, this applies not only to the magic DPS, but any skill for any job that has a cast bar. So you can even be a sliding, slicing samurai. The magic limit break, similar to the range.
Okay, slide cancels. Or slide casting. Slide casting.
Once it reaches about 4/5 of the way through, you need no longer restrain your movements as though you're...
Okay. Slide casting, or canceling, or moving, not canceling, moving after cast bar is at around 70 to 80%, around there. Cool. I learned from Deep Dungeoning, you can put an emote button on the bar. When that lights up, that's when you can slide cast. Oh, really? Huh. I'm never going to play, I don't think I'm going to play Magic or Caster or Mage. It's not my... That's not my style, especially for a game. If you have to stand still, I don't like that. I don't like that. I did it for Elden Ring in particular because at least in Elden Ring, you can move around kind of, but it works for any type of casting. Okay, I'll keep that in mind once I need it.
Feet were sweating Gorilla Glue, and you can afford a small amount of movement without losing possible uptime. Cool tip, this applies not only to the magic DPS, but any skill for any job that has a cast bar. So you can even be a sliding, slicing samurai. The magic limit break, similar to the range DPS, is an AoE that deals less base damage than the melees, but can hit multiple targets. In this case, a massive circle instead, and now you can make fun of the boss for not moving out of the obviously telegraphed danger puddle for a change. Boy, do I love throwing stones out of my glass house. The family of magic is made up of 3 siblings. Okay, that's a lie, it's actually 4, but the smallest one kind of went a weird career path, and they're not often invited to the New Year's parties. The Black Mage is a fantastic job if you're a fan of Cookie Clicker, because you're pressing the same button over and over again ad nauseum to see big number go brrrr. During rotation, you start out headbanging explosions at the bad guy like a... until you're completely out of mana. Then you go into a goth phase, where you chug a bunch of cold energy drinks, getting you back to peak performance, where you can go back to... Although you have tools to keep yourself mobile like the other mages, you will often be the least dancy and find yourself pitching a tent like you just discovered the sniper tower on Rust. It also wins the award for having the slowest leveling experience ever. Next is a summoner who has gone through so many reworks that odds are by the time this video is published, it'll have already been changed into a tank.
Okay, Black Mage. Leveling is slow.
Job with 4 dots and another job stone.
Summoner.
You summon the dragon that nearly destroyed the world 5 years ago, which some may consider in poor taste if they happen to have a loved one's name written in the 7th Umbral Calamity Memorial Museum. And after you're done... making them relive their trauma, get to double, triple, and quadruple down on using avatars of terror by summoning life-size copies of 3 monstrosities that killed a lot of innocent people. Chili Boy gives you slow casts and a gap closer. Thick Thigh Bird Woman drops a mildly uncomfortable breeze, and she, as well as Chicken Nugget, turns you into a physical range DPS, where you no longer have to worry.
Is that Garuda pretty much? Are these like other ones that are kind of like Haruka? Oh, I'm sorry, not Haruka. Haruka's right here. Garuda based. I don't know what Chicken Nugget is. They're primals. Ifrit, Garuda, and Titan. It is Garuda. Okay, gotcha.
About the cast bar anymore. Suck it, Black Mage. After you're finished offending the local countryside, you bring out a big Firebird that'll restore the party's health. Hey, if you're gonna make range DPS
Phoenix.
obsolete, might as well do the same for healers too, right? Lastly,
so you summon primals. That's pretty awesome. That's very cool. Red Mage. I like Red Mage a lot, actually. When I played FF3, I want to say, yeah, Final Fantasy 3 on the DS, I played Red Mage.
He also wasn't wrong. Summoner has in fact been changed since this came out.
Oh, really? Oh, damn. So it got changed again? Oh, damn.
The Red Mage, the most fashionable job. You steal gimmicks from everybody else like you're a YouTuber wanting to make more than minimum.
Yeah, so I understood Red Mage when I was playing FF3 back in the day. Was basically you have White Mage and Black Mage, and Red Mage is like the mixture of both. Holy crap, that's a big video.
Minimum wage. You've got a heal like a White Mage, but a little bit less thick. You've got explosions like a Black Mage, but a little bit less... And you even get a backflip to your death like a Dragoon, but a little bit more sexy. In combat, you flip between using black and white magic attacks in order to build up a mana gauge to spend slashing your sword with a whole lot of sexual tension. Maybe lifting the enemy's chin with the tip of it, saying some threatening innuendo while you're at it. What makes you special, aside from the sick drip and stylish moves, is that after each spell you hardcast with a cast bar, any spell that follows is instant, meaning you only have to sit still about half of the time. Suck it, Black Mage. This also means you're even more efficient at raising down allies than the healer, since you have essentially infinite swift casts, and the only thing holding you back is the fact that rezzing the whole party will suck you dry like you're an anime boy with no eyes. Red Mage's limit break is also special in that it take fast, Couple Arts! And now you know how to... Yeah, I didn't forget. I was just hoping that you had. Playing Blue Mage is only a portion of the Blue Mage experience.
Wait, there's a Blue Mage?
The rest of it is starting sentences involving the job with the words what about. Yes, though it may be classified in the magical range DPS category, blue is unique in the fact that 1, to Blue Mage is to suffer, and 2, it is considered a limited job, so it has to sit in the corner all by itself while the rest of the kids on the playground actually get to hang out. You are unable to play Blue Mage with the other jobs in most level synced and current content, especially high-end stuff like Savage Raids and ERP. Why is this? Because if it weren't, whoever's in charge of designing and balancing the elaborate and complex boss fights at Square Enix would probably be under Suicide Watch. The Blue Mage's unique power is that it can learn a ton of skills, spells, and abilities from the various enemies and bosses in the game, including but not limited to there's Ultra Vibration and Rose of Destruction and Sticky Tongue Snore Mustard Bomb, Abyssal Transfixion, Quasar Malediction of Water and Fire and Gun, Peculiar, Light Feather, Rain and Shock Strike, Song of Torment and Basic Instinct, Flying Frenzy and Loom, Acorn Bomb, Sonic Boom, Flying Sardine, J-Kid, Final Sting, Triple Trident and White Wind and Level 5 Petra, 5,000 Needles kinda sucks. There's Inkjet and Fates and Transfusion and Blaze, Shoko Meteor and Self-Destruct. And now you know how to play Magic. You're welcome.
I still don't know what Blue Mage does. I actually still don't know what Blue Mage does. I imagine it does, so it copies different
Blue Mage
attacks.
is deliberately designed to be able to fill in any class role, and would be busted as shit in standard play.
Yeah. So I know that. The Blue Mage learns abilities that enemies, which was that whole song. Blue Mage, you fight enemies over and over and get a spell from them. Blue Mage learns monster skills and trivializes old content. Yeah, but is that like a... Is it a role or a job you can just pick at any time? No. Okay, so it's not like Red Mage or anything like that. It's unlocked in Stormblood. It cannot be queued in normal content, but you can form parties specifically for it. Oh, I see. So they just put it in the game for kicks and giggles for people to use in raids and dungeons
Blue
and
Mage
stuff?
can learn 124 different monster skills and use them in battle. And some of them are absolutely busted and would trivialize anything and everything and is more considered a funny side job since it can only party up with other Blue Mages.
Oh, so you can't party up either in dungeons and stuff other than with other Blue Mages. And that's called a limited job. Okay. Cool.
Joe wasn't joking about the fight designer. Blue Mages have so much variety that trying to balance them with anything but themselves would be doomed.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. Yeah, because they can learn so many different skills that balancing that in the main story content or with any other normal party members is crazy. So it's like here's a way for me to think of it. It's like if you guys ever played Street Fighter, I come from the fighting game community. If you guys played Street Fighter, there is in Street Fighter 4, there is a game mode completely beside the main game that they balance and people play competitively called Street Fighter 4 Omega, which is pretty much just a mode where all the characters get bonkers bananas modes. But it's not part of the main mode. It's like side content that you can do. You can play differently. And Blue Mage is kind of like Street Fighter 4 Omega. It's not, you can't really put it in part of the regular ranked or in player matches, but you can have your own separate mode where you can play Street Fighter 4 Omega. Or like Unlimiteds. Yeah, like unlimited characters in BlazBlue. That's another great one. Okay. Well, chat, we got through the guides. After almost an hour and a half of watching these guides, I have about 3 pages worth of notes. Pretty cool. I got about 3 pages worth of notes. I definitely know a lot more about the game than I did prior to these, which is great.